Hey there. Let's talk about spiritual intimacy for a minute. See, I think that as believers, often what we do is we think that God has saved us and He's brought us to this place where when temptation comes along, we can battle it, right? We can face it and we can battle it. We can go, I was so tempted to be angry, but I didn't do it. I was so tempted to lash out at that person, but I didn't do it. I was so tempted to look at that thing online, but I didn't do it. I was so tempted to, and it goes on and on, but I didn't do it. And that's where we think that God has brought us. That's the point that we think that God has brought us to. And if God could bring us to that point, then He has brought us to completion. And I want to say that's not it. That's only part of it. If we can overcome those battles of temptation when they happen, absolutely, that's great. But that's not what God's wanting. God's wanting more. God's wanting more out of us. But He's the one that's doing the work. So here's what I'm saying. If we would surrender ourselves, our hearts and our minds to the Lord, that what He's going to do is actually shift the desires of our heart, shift the desires in our mind, those thoughts in our mind. Sin is birthed from desire in our hearts and our mind. Temptation is birthed from the desires in our hearts and the thoughts in our mind. That's where all that comes from. The Bible says that God doesn't tempt people. Well, why does He allow temptation? Because it's a test. Why is it a test? What's He testing me for? He's trying to refine my heart and my mind. Is this thing really a temptation? Is lashing out at somebody really a temptation? Why is it a temptation? Because it's a desire in your heart. But if He can shift the desire, then even the temptation would not be there any longer. Because our desires have changed. Our thoughts have changed. It's like this. When you were young, when you grew up in your household, chances are, whether you had a good childhood or a bad childhood, chances are you probably grew up in a home and had these set of mindsets that were sort of instilled in you, ingrained in you, and you've grown up with that. And whether or not you recognize they were good or bad, they are still with you. And sometimes you think, man, if I could just get away from these hurtful mindsets that my parents did. Or maybe you go, man, my parents really taught me some things, or my grandparents really taught me some things, or whatever. The goal is this, that you have been trained up in a specific way, right? If you would do the same with the Lord, if the Lord would be Lord of your life, if He would be your Father, if He would be your resting place, if He would be your shelter, the shadow of His wings, that He would do the exact same thing and instill in you new ways, new thoughts, new desires, so that you would be a new creation. Something to think